Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to go over our top 12.
12.
We ended up with 12. I was originally going for 10. Then I said, can we make it 11? And then you said, can we make it 12?
I said, let's make it 12.
So we ended up making a top 12 games we'd be excited for if we were going to Essen, buying the games at Essen. We went to Board Game Geek and have like this long list of games. I don't think either of us probably looked at every single game on there, or some of it's kind of limited information. We tried to kind of keep it as ones that were actually available there, but I don't know. There might have been demos that slipped in, or maybe there might have been just non-English versions and stuff, but just kind of what excited us the most. So sort of some rules, boundaries around it, but not hard rules.
You know a little more about like when games are released or if they're delivered, and you probably have more like actual like special going to be available there for the first time. I feel like where I don't know that information, sure. So a lot of these could already be available in some place. But
let us know in the comments below which ones you're excited about if you're going to Essen. I hope you have a good time. Hope you can get some of these games if they're exciting to you. But maybe one day we'll be able to go to Essen. Have not went. This year I did go to Gen Con for the first time. And I got a couple games that I saw on that list as kind of still being newly released. And one of them that we got from Gen Con was Sunrise Lane. I think otherwise that could have potentially maybe made a list or something.
Yeah. Check out our content on
Yes, check that out.
We liked it quite a bit.
Yes, it's actually a pretty solid game. But otherwise, I think I did see a couple of these maybe at Gen Con, so I don't know if it's the first time these have ever been released, but we will just start it off the bat. I'll go with my number 12. These are just kind of ranked sort of quick thought of which one I'm most excited about, but it could really change based on the day and as I learn more information, because some seem to have a little bit more information than others. Some I have
most of them just on my phone as well, just so I remember like pictures, kind of exactly what every game is, because there were like over 1,000, so I'm probably gonna mix them up just based on their name.
Wow, he looked at over 1,000. He did a lot of searching for you guys. Yes. But my number 12 is a game that looks interesting. I don't know if it'll be one that I would actually end up really liking, but it's kind of one of those wild cards that could be really good, could be like a gimmick that goes too far and is just a gimmick. But this one is Quicksand, which is coming from, I believe, the same person that designed King's Dilemma and Railroad Inc. I do like Railroad Inc. quite a bit. But I think those are both horrible guild games. And this one is as well. And something about, it's a cooperative game and you're moving these sand timers. It seems like it's kind of a real-time game where you're trying to do a certain thing by the end of the time and trying not to let those sand timers run out, or else you just kind of immediately lose. So it's kind of one of those where you're having to remember to, get it flipped or something. It's what it seems like. So it does look interesting. It also, if I remember right, it looked like it was maybe a little bit of a shorter game. So I'm always looking for, interesting cooperative or kind of party style games, but then at the same time real time games are sometimes not the, I don't know, you have to have the right group, I think. Sometimes they're intimidating for sure, so that's why this one's kind of at the bottom of my list, because I don't know if our group really loves real time games. We don't really have all that many, but
not many.
We do usually have fun with them. So I'd be interested to see if this one kind of fits in as a one we would like.
I was on a short list, narrowed it down to 12. Could have probably extended it to 20. There are a lot of games there. I think that one would have made that list for me. But this is in no particular order here. But I just noticed I actually have 13 here. I had 12 on the phone. I think I X'd out one of the boxes, so I actually have 13.
He's really cheating. He's the one that got me to go to 12.
So we'll see. But my number 12 or 13, we'll see, is how about... Okay, this one, I don't know if I'll actually be a fan of it when we play it, because I think it has a weight of like 4 on BGG, and that is Zoo Tycoon. The board game.
Is that heavy?
That is a weight of 4 there for Zoo
Wow.
Tycoon. But I love Zoo Tycoon. We grew up playing it on the computer, and to actually have one. There are a lot of games that simulate that.
Right.
Like New York Zoo kind of simulates that, but that's a very approachable polyomino game, and this one seems much more heavy and really into building your park, running your park, having all these different concessions, and pretty much just running a business. It feels like so very heavy, but it looks like it has a lot of amazing little animal meeples as well, a ton of them, and just the theme alone gets me really interested in this. And there have actually been some heavy games. I think even
Ark Nova.
yeah, yes, Ark Nova. Like Tekkenu is actually over heavy games, over a 4 rating on the weight, and I enjoy that one quite a bit. So hopefully, as I learn more about this one, it'll actually be pretty approachable in how to play, because I would really love to add it to the collection.
Yeah, I had seen that one, and I wasn't too excited
No.
about it, but I thought that one would probably make your list. But I did at the time I was not aware that it was that heavy, so maybe
Yeah.
I would like it. Maybe I should check that one out a little bit more. That's a good pick. But my number 11 is kind of the initial one that I thought was going to miss the list, but felt the most like so. Quicksand did feel like it was a little bit more below these other 11 for me.
Yeah.
But this one was one that I'm like, I gotta just put this on here, and this is more of a speculative pick. I couldn't find all that much information on it, but it is Carvey, I believe. Carvey,
Oh, yeah, what
something.
is that one?
Karvi.
Oh yeah, I think there were
Um,
only pictures on that Board Game Geek page for that one.
Something. I don't even know if there were pictures. I think it was just. So it was this
Or
cover.
just the cover.
Yeah, it's
picture,
like
I mean.
a. It says it's a Viking themed game with a dice action track.
That's
so-
all it takes.
That's all it takes. But if I remember right, it was like 90 to 180 minutes or something. So that was kind of surprising me. I'm like, that seems like a long time. But I guess I was a little interested to know what that dice action track would mean.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what that means. And yeah, there wasn't all that much information on it. So I think this is more just one that I'm hoping will be interesting, will be good. Kind of makes me. It's not an action one, but makes me think of Champions of Midgard with the Viking theme
yeah.
and a lot of dice.
Dice,
I don't know if this one would be that style of
Yeah.
game. It seems like it would probably be more of like a Euro-y style game. So always looking for good ones of those, and the box cover looked pretty good. I thought. So yeah, I'm excited to hopefully eventually learn more about this one. Now that I don't remember if this one it was coming out in English or not, and maybe it's not even coming out at all yet. Maybe it's a demo, and maybe I saw it, but I'm excited.
Yeah, so we are not going to apologize anymore for any errors we could have made.
There we go.
Yes. So next up, I'll go with this one. This is a Vincent Dutrait artwork game. And speaking of art is actually in the title. It is the Art Project, the ART Project. Do you even know what that game is?
I saw that one on there as well, but I was not interested at all.
The players work together. It's a cooperative game.
Okay.
To recover stolen art, which kind of the artwork of the covers, a bunch of cool looking characters, and that makes me feel more like you are the art thieves, and that seems a little more interesting, being like a heist, but maybe it's kind of a heist anyway, trying to steal the art back from the thieves. But I think that the Dutrait artwork, we're not the biggest fans of Dutrait artwork. I've come around to it more than you have in recent years, and I think it works in this one pretty well, and just kind of the style throughout the game with the player tokens and dice and things like that. I thought it looked really nice, and it's scenario based, different missions, and I saw a bunch of different maps as well that you can go on, and that gives me I thought this would probably be like, collect art cards or something like that, but it looks like it might actually be moving around different spaces on the map, which is not what I thought it'd be, but come to enjoy those types of cooperative games a lot more lately, so I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah, it could definitely be good, but when I saw I think when I just noticed it was like Dutrait artwork and it was called the art something, I was just like, I'm not really interested in this one, but that makes it sound a little bit more interesting, so we'll see. we'll see what they say about that one. But yeah, no, I'm not liking my odds here now. The beginning of the video, I don't know if you'll include this or not, Pepper. We did bid on how many crossovers we thought we had. And you originally did say 3, and I said 4, I think you said. Right?
Yeah.
And then we switched it.
And I
gave you 4, and I went to 5. I'm like, okay, it could be 5. And now I'm starting to think that ain't gonna be the case the way this is going.
Well, if I keep finding extra games and I start getting up to 20 games here, then we might have a better chance.
That is true. The more games you do, the better chance we have. But my number 10 is another one that I couldn't find a ton of information on. But I just thought there was something cool, another cool-looking cover, I thought. And I think that's kind of going to be the case for a lot of these, is that's the first thing that draws me in. Not a lot to
go on.
Right. So that's probably why the art one didn't really draw me in, because, I tend to not like his art that much. I know a lot of people do. But yeah, I really like the art on this one, and it's another one. I don't know how it's pronounced. Myticus? It's an action selection board that you've got your own action selection board, and you're there's this, I don't know, top board of cubes, so you produce the resources, and then they're moving over, and then there's the center board, and it's got layers, and you're building your wooden structures on it. I just thought it looked kind of cool. I'm guessing it'll kind of just be one of those sort of manage your resources to build something. Might not be any actual hook to this game that's makes it way different than anything else, but I'm not entirely sure how that top piece is going to work. I'm hoping that will be the interesting part, where I think you have your own action board, and you're doing, so some of them produce the stuff, and then I don't know if some of them were the things that were moving them over, and I think you have to get them over to a certain spot to actually do it. I don't know exactly. Not a ton of information that I could find on this one, so it looked good. I liked the wooden pieces that you were putting up, because the board was kind of it's quadruple layer or something, so it had pieces on it. I think it was anyway. Maybe it was just it could have just been a piece put on the board, maybe. But yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. We'll see.
We will see. Let's go with. I have some that I might not know how to pronounce as well. I'm going to save them in hopes that you pronounce them first. I'll go with this one. This one I'm not...
It's not looking good for you.
This one I'm not sure if this is out anywhere yet. I know that this was in crowdfunding, and it was before we had kind of done our Take My Money series, where we look at different crowdfundings. So it feels like it's been a long time since I first started this, and that is the Fox Experiment. And this is from Elizabeth Hargrave, designer of Wingspan, just a huge new designer on the scene. She's designed quite a few games since then as well, and they've all been well received, and this one looked like one of the bigger ones. And to have a fox theme, another animal theme, and I really love the theme and the artwork, and it's got some dice in the game as well, which I haven't looked too much into the gameplay, although I think there is quite a bit of content on this one to dig into. So I definitely want to do that. But yeah, just her next game, great artwork, great look of a game. Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah, I don't think this one's out yet, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe if people watching know, letting me know in the comments if it is, because that's been one that I've been excited about. It did not make my list, but I think probably in my head I just kind of passed it by because it feels like one that should be out already. But it's not. And I don't know when they actually said they were going to deliver, so I'm not saying that it feels like they should have delivered by now, but it just feels like I've known about it for a while.
And I don't know if we do get it. I'm like, is Wingspan going to hurt it? Because Wingspan is just such an amazing game. It's like, this could be a great game, but just as in the head as a follow-up of sorts to Wingspan, although it's not a follow-up to Wingspan.
Nothing like
for
it.
For us, her next game, for us.
Yeah, true. We have not tried it.
Is that going to hurt it? Hope not. Hopefully I can clear my mind and go into the game, if we ever play it.
Yes. That's a good pick. I am excited about that one at some point. My number 9, I have definitely heard talked about a lot. I think I saw it at Gen Con being demoed. I don't believe it was available there. I think this is the first time it's available. but I could be wrong. There may have been like pre-orders and stuff delivering. I'm not 100% sure. But this one is coming from, I think it's Boards and Dice, Nucleum. So this one, I've heard some people refer to it as a mix of Brass and Barrage. So that kind of has me excited. I do like, well, of the one game of Barrage I've played and the few games of Brass I've played, I've liked both of them. So I'm hopeful that that's a good sign, but at the same time, that also tells me it's probably pretty heavy. So I don't know if that's going to hurt it. So that does scare me a little bit. I think I'm hoping to hear a little bit more about this one and look into it a little bit more. I think there's a lot of content on this one. I've seen this one talked about quite a bit, and I've just kind of been sitting back waiting to just get some more reviews of it, just to kind of see what people are saying before I end up getting it. But yeah, it just sounds like one of those crunchy Euro games. If you like heavier games, this one might be one for you. It's kind of in that same, along with those T games. I believe it's Board and Dice. I don't know if you remember. I think it is. So what was the other one there? I'm trying to remember. Barcelona? Is that Board and Dice? Because it was at the same booth.
I think so.
So, yeah, this one, I really like the look of the cover of it as well. So, yeah, a lot of covers pulling me into these games, and when I saw it there, I didn't have a chance to demo it, but I was hoping that I could, but didn't get a chance to. So, yeah, looks exciting, but maybe a little heavy.
Yeah, it could be. The weight of it, I guess I don't know what the weight was. It's probably less than Zoo Tycoon, so I probably shouldn't say it, but the weight of it did keep me from putting that one on the list, even though I had heard quite a bit. I just kind of passed it by as I scrolled through because I'd heard that it was quite heavy. But, like I said, sometimes games can surprise you, and maybe it just clicks for your brain, and for a lot of people, it's super complicated and intimidating, but for you, easy.
Right.
But yeah, my next one is, let's go with this one here. This is a game from the Kramer and Kiesling, I believe. A very colorful game. I believe Kramer and Kiesling.
Is this the, what is it, Pyramid?
No. Which this one I had heard about a long time ago.
No.
But I'm not sure, because I couldn't actually find any Dice Star reviews. That's usually where I'd hear of it. This is Amygdala, which it is that one. If you have seen it,
I had not seen it. I did not guess that.
Seen that? Okay, well it is. So Kiesling did Azul, right?
Yep.
And he does a lot of these kind of slightly abstract pattern building placement games. Kramer and Kiesling, obviously a team that have worked together a lot, made a lot of games that I like, and it looks that you have this board where you're placing all these colorful tokens
I will say
in
that
different patterns.
That cover does it a huge disservice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty dark cover, because, the board is just
I don't know if I love that board.
Absolutely colorful. It could be very busy.
You could have the images on after.
It could be very busy.
That does look a little bit busy.
Very intimidating.
From the side, it was looking fine, but now you're showing me that, and I'm like, oh boy.
I hadn't even seen this picture
like
before. That might be a bit much, but, I mean... He's done a lot of great games, and it sounds, I believe this is the one that they're talking about, an easy to learn, easy to actually play rule set, but depth in the actual strategy of the game. I believe that's what it said there, and I feel like that is the case with most of his games, so I'm hoping that this one can turn out to be another one of those. It can't live up to some of the past games. I mean, those are classics, but if it could be another really solid one of those games, pattern building games, I would be interested.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it could be good. I don't know what I think if that is the board, but that they always make some good games. I thought, because I think I saw another. I think it was this Terra Pyramids or Pyramids or something. I think that's also from Kramer and Kiesling, so I think that one looked like it was new too. That one didn't end up making my list, but I was kind of debating on that one. Yeah. So, but I hadn't even looked at that because of the cover. That cover kind of turned me off. But yeah, it looks like it could be good. So my number 8 had another cover that I liked,
Ooh.
but when I looked at the cover, it makes me think, this is an alternate cover for a North Sea game.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is what I thought when I saw it. I'm like, this is an alternate
It
cover
does
for
look
Raiders of the North Sea or something.
It does really look like that. Like the collector's edition.
Right.
Big box.
And I think this one is pronounced Celte.
Yeah,
Something
glad
like
you did
that. That first off, I like the Miko's artwork, and that kind of at least pulled me into looking at the game a little bit more. And it sounds like there's a rondelle in this game, which I'm always liking a good rondelle, so I'm hopeful that this one will be good. And then it also said there's worker swapping happening, which then immediately made me think of Raiders of the North Sea. So I'm like, got these couple things comboing. Obviously, I didn't see anything with Garfield games, so I don't think Shem is involved.
Garfield, no Shem.
I don't think Shem's involved.
But yeah,
so.
I remember looking at that, and I'm looking at the board. I'm like, this looks like a dang Garfield game.
It did look like it.
North
It does.
Sea or West Kingdom game. Just
It
the way
does
the
look like
actions
that.
are laid out, the board.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this one. It seems from the little that I looked at it and stuff, it seems like it'll be one that's more of like the maybe more medium to medium weight game that's a little bit more approachable versus something like my last one, like Nucleum, where it's gonna maybe be a little bit harder to table. This one looked like it was probably going to be one that you could get to the table and then probably remember in future plays a little bit easier than some of the other ones. So I'm hopeful that that'll be the case. I think there was one review on it, and that I found anyway. I didn't look that deeply into every single one of these, but once I heard some of those things, I was already pretty much set on it, so I didn't want to look at too much. But one guy that I did listen to a little bit said that he really enjoyed the game. I think he gave it like an 8.5 out of 10 or something. So,
yeah, pretty good. I really thought that was going to make my list, and as I was going, there were just so many more games, and I was pretty sure it was going to make your list too, so then I felt a little better taking off the list. It is written here on this page. There's only so many lines on this page, so that's a short list, but it did get crossed off, but like you said, it just feels so approachable, even if it's a designer with a whole different style than we're used to, just with that artwork. It just feels like, I want to jump into that. I know that, but we obviously don't. But hopefully it is good.
Yeah, it is weird. Just the Miko's artwork on anything immediately makes me think medium weight Euro game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be very hard for him to break into anything else without throwing people off.
Yeah.
I think so.
My next one, I will go with another comfortable pick. A game in a series of games that I own like 5 of.
Oh, boy. I think I know what this is.
This is, can you pronounce it? Do you remember what it is?
No.
Do you know what it ends in? Ends in the classic Eon. Siberian.
I was going to guess C something.
An Oniverse game, I assume an Oniverse game. Yes, send your robots to repair the machines of the Oniverse's factory. I probably looked into this one the least because I was so sure that it was going to be on the list, so I didn't even have to look into it. But I've liked all of them. They're pretty much solo-based games, and a lot of them include different variants that you can throw into the game to make it a little more complex or a little more difficult to win. And I think everyone just has something a little clever in there, even though they are usually pretty approachable games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I haven't loved every game in the series, but I've enjoyed every game in the series, and I loved a lot of them, so this is going to be entering the collection, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, what is that?
This one may be the one I'm least looking forward to out of the ones you've had so far.
Look at those tokens. They are chunked together.
Ooh, nice
those
tokens.
Little robot wedges, monsters.
There you go.
My goodness.
I'm sure it's good.
Siberian tokens, Zach.
I'm sure it's great. Frosted Flakes. And then my number 7.
This one I'm going to have on my list. I just know. Oh, you have to cross over.
I think so. We got it soon, maybe. We don't know. Now, my number 7 is one, kind of like the other ones. A lot of these I just can't find much information on. It makes me worried that I don't know when they're going to come to the United States, if they will at all. this one is Path of Civilization, which doesn't sound that exciting for a name, I would say. Not the greatest name, but if you're going to be kind of a civilization game, I guess you can use civilization in your name.
Yeah, it's not the worst name. It's just like every other civilization game.
Right.
A lot of them, at least, have civilization in the
Yes.
title.
And it's one where I think if you played it or like tested it or something, and then you're later going back, if you're like me and don't have the greatest memory, you're gonna be like, "What was that called? Something civilization, something something." So, yeah, not having kind of a strange name that sticks out, but maybe it'll work for it. But yeah, this one looks like a card-driven Civ game, and from the little bit that I read about it, it sounds like you have like 5 cards in your hand, and I'm not sure if they all do different things or like different types of I don't know, things that you'd find in Civ games or whatever, or whatever. But then you use like 2 of them as action cards, 2 of them as resources, and the other one you get rid of permanently for the game, and can possibly get points or something maybe, and then you'll be getting a new card to kind of replace that and kind of just keep going with that. It sounds like, I mean, not be exactly how it's played, but from the little I heard of it, and that sounded like an interesting thing where you're trying to, like I said, I don't know if the cards all like portray like different types of things or whatever. If there's like some sort of technology or science or I don't know, exploration type thing. Like if they all do different things. So I'm not exactly sure how that'll work, but yeah, any I don't know, card-driven games, it looks like there's going to all the cards are very different as well, I think. So if that's the case, I think that's always interesting when a game has a lot of different cards. Makes me think of the great games I love, like Terraforming Mars and things like that, Wingspan. So I'm hopeful that this one will be really good. But
yeah, I remember seeing that one, but I didn't actually click on it because, like you said, the name of it, and I just like, it's probably just one of those. But that does sound really cool. Just whether or not you got it 100% right, it's like that does sound interesting. Managing those cards in that way, so I'm actually pretty interested in that. My next one overall gives me that feel of a type of game, although it's probably a much lighter game. I don't know as much about the gameplay of my games as you do yours, but this is Age of Rome, which also sounds like, if they have age in there, that sounds like a civilization game, even if it is just themed. This is build structures, manage your workers, and defeat your rivals to be the next emperor. Oh boy, what's he gonna say?
And I thought I had that, but I had Gods of Rome at one point on my list.
Oh yeah, that one I looked at as well. That did not make the list. But yeah, this one is actually a weight of 2.67, so probably pretty medium weight game, which is not what I expected. You see the cover, you got Caesar there or whatever, and it's like, okay, this is going to be super heavy, build your civilization, but I like the cover, but then I was like, it's going to be intimidating, but that weight number seemed pretty approachable to me, and the board as well looked very colorful, and also these buildings, which I keep seeing pictures of them, and I'm like, oh, you're building your monuments piece by piece, and I'm just like, if those are the components in the game, that's enough for a list like this to get me interested.
Yeah, I agree, because yes, I mean it's hard to go over a ton of these games and figure out exactly how they work, especially when a lot of them are newer. If they're not actually just coming out now, just recently coming out, there's not going to be a ton of information on them, and I'm not one that could just read the rule book and totally understand how it goes without having other components and stuff to actually move things around. I think you're probably maybe similar in that way. So yeah, sometimes it just is the hook of the cover, hook of maybe the designers or some of the components. So we're shallow gamers.
We are shallow gamers.
So yeah, those look pretty cool. What was the cover for that one again?
Where are we? Yeah, cover of that one. It's that one. I believe on the Dice Tower they were talking about how
I think I remember looking at
made
that
them
one
think of Abraham Lincoln, which it definitely would be.
That makes the most sense. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I agree. That's a good pick. you're back on track, Pepper. After getting off the
I
rails a
believe
little
that.
bit.
Look at all those wood tokens. My gosh, that should be a Zach game.
Oh boy,
I'm
I think I did.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
convinced it's not on. He's
might be.
playing us here, folks.
My number 6 is. Oh boy, I think we're gonna have a tough time, maybe even getting to 4 crossovers if this one isn't on your list. But I don't know. We looked at it separately, so there's a chance that we might not have seen some of these games.
Yeah, I didn't see the Terra Pyramids game, and that one actually looks pretty cool that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I'd probably be interested in that one too. Not that that's on your list, but
right. But yeah, so this one I think would maybe make your list, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know
I think
for
I know
sure.
what it is. I think I know what it is. I'm gonna open the page, and I'm gonna hope that's
Number 6. This it makes me think of another game that we have immediately, because there are this in the game. It's a game that may be my number 1 game of all time. There are gins in this game because this name of this game is Gin, and I think I liked the cover quite a bit. You're putting like a genie or gin in the bottle, I think it is, and then I looked at some of the components, and they just got these shiny genie meeples, or gin or gene, whatever. I don't know the best way to do it, but wooden meeples with kind of different things on them. Oh, screen printing and shininess. It gets my attention. Gets my attention. Like I just said, shallow gamer. And it's the designer, I guess, of Hadara. So Hadara is not my favorite game, but I do enjoy playing it. It's probably game. Average for me. So I mean, I've never disliked it. I just hasn't been a great one for me, and it's one that Michaela actually likes quite a bit. So I'm thinking maybe this could be one that we'd both really like. I guess I don't remember what your thoughts are on Hadara.
I like it. It's probably right in the middle there for me as well.
Okay. What did I say? Actions connected. Oh, I think the board, it sounded like, so the board has I think it was 13 to 17 actions. Something in the teens and actions. And they're all connected on the board, and I think you can only move 1 to 3 spaces or something. So you have to go and do, you can only go so far, so you have to kind of plan okay, if I go there, where am I going to be able to go next and stuff. And I think you're trying to collect the gins in bottles and stuff, so it's kind of an interesting thing, the new theme kind of in a way. But I'm sure at the end of the day, it's I need that blue cube in order to do this, to get this card. That's what it's going to be.
We'll call the gins by their name, because that's easy. But everything else, blue, red, gray. Sometimes we do wood. Wood's pretty easy to always say wood and stone.
That's true.
But yeah, other than that, it's tough. As you can see, because I did not help you along with any of that explanation, I do not have gin on my list. I didn't even click on it, actually.
You weren't excited by it?
I forget the cover. Was the cover that great? I don't know.
I think it was good. It just interested me, I should say. I don't know that it was my favorite cover.
Maybe
a lot of my earlier ones that I've already mentioned were more based on the cover. This one was one the cover got my attention.
This one? No.
Yes.
Yep.
It got my attention, but it wasn't. I don't know.
And it was a little zoomed up screen. I was just going by thumbnails, so I think a little closer I get to actually see what it is. I don't know if I actually saw what even the cover was depicting, but still, I don't know if that's a theme that would hook me. But
I think for some reason it just made me think a little bit of Five Tribes, even though it's not connected to Five Tribes in any way that I'm aware of.
You'll get your Five Tribes. She'll get her Hadara.
There we go.
That'll be great. But mine is a theme that is pretty interesting. We do have a game with this theme, and that is airplanes. And this is...
We've got Pan Am.
We've got Pan Am, and this is Sky Team, which I really, really love that cover. It makes me think a little bit about Andrew Bosley, but not quite his. It makes me think of trekking through history. I don't know if it was the Eric Hibler, which I have seen his name for artists in a few games, and Adrian Reeves. I'm not sure what games they do, but I really love the artwork in this game, and I think it's a cooperative 2-player game where you are each kind of doing your controls of the plane and trying to keep it
Mhm.
all in balance so you do not crash into other planes or crash into the ground or anything like this. They say you'll lose the game and your pilot's license. I'm like, if you crash into another aircraft in the air, you're gonna lose
A lot more
you're
than
gonna
your
lose the
pilot's
game,
license.
you're gonna lose your license, and you're gonna lose your dang life. But most devastating, your pilot's license. But yeah, that one just seemed really interesting and trying to separately, because I think you're just trying to
Mhm.
match or balance it with your opponent without fully communicating what you're doing with your dice placement, I believe it is. That just seemed really interesting. It might not work. I don't know. I feel like it's such a unique type of game that it might not really work for us. But hopefully it does because it's a unique theme. I feel like you could possibly really get into the theme just
Mhm.
with we're trying not to crash this
Right.
plane. I feel like that could be exciting, seeing what your opponent's doing and seeing how horribly you've messed up.
Yes, and I'll swap my next two. So, Sky Team also made my list. We'll say it's my number 5.
We've got a crossover.
This one,
One.
I've already got a story for this one. This
Oh,
was
boy.
my Gen Con try to run for. Well, not running. You don't run. They tell you can walk quickly. I don't know if everyone was walking because this was one we tried to get at Gen Con, and the line when we tried to go in there, which I felt like we got in there decently quickly, but Michaela got there before I did, and she was like 250th in line,
yeah.
and there was only like 100 or 150 copies,
Oh,
so
yep.
we were not able to get it. But yes, this one I didn't actually try it there. They did have kind of demos there as well that you could try out. I never ended up doing it. It seemed like that was always crowded, a lot of people were playing it for sure. And yeah, it looks very interesting. 2-player cooperative game, and yeah, it's just an interesting theme. Although thematically, it also doesn't really make sense because I don't know why you'd just quit talking
Yeah.
to your pilot or co-pilot. I
That's
don't
true.
know why, but
Maybe the comms are out and it's so loud in there.
yes, and you're sitting right next to each other
Yep.
most likely, but they ain't
Can't
gonna
hear.
talk.
Can't
Not
hear.
if I can't
You're
use.
just doing your own thing and be like, you doing it right? You doing it right?
Now we
We're
got
gonna
the
do
plane
this?
turned sideways, unfortunately. But no, this one is one that I'm really excited about. I would be, out of all the games so far, I think this one has the best chance of being added to the collection at some point.
Yeah,
Out of mine,
I would
anyway.
say so. I would say so for me as well. I'm not sure if I did rank it. It would probably be a little higher on this list, closer to the top. So probably.
Yeah, if I was ranking it based on which one I think most
Yeah.
likely be added to the collection, it would probably be top.
Yeah, I could
Or
see
close.
that.
Top 2 or 3 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and back to me. Let's see if we can get another crossover. We got one. We just need 3 more for me to get some points. Although we can just keep it down here, and I'll be closest with my guess. Because
That's true.
very important. We are not going to be good at Sky Team. Too competitive. My next one. So let's cross that off. I'll go to another. I believe is it 2-player game? Is this another 2-player game? Yes, another
That's not a crossover.
2-player game. And this just makes me think of Unmatched. This is Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard. So I just see that. It's another Dutrait. Oops, spit on my phone there. Another Dutrait artwork cover, and I thought that was a really cool looking cover, at least from the concept of it. I mean, if you zoom in, maybe you see a little too much Dutrait detail, maybe. I don't know, but I feel like from far out, it gives me that feel of Cobble and Fog. Jekyll and Hyde are in Cobble and Fog, and it gives me a Sherlock Holmes feel as well, and I like that kind of feel. But yeah, I don't know exactly how this plays. It is mainly on cover, and I think there are a couple other ones
Trick taking.
from, it was a 2-player cooperative trick-taking game. So then I'm like, okay, that
That could
be
interesting.
really cool, I think. And if it is, I think there's, Mandu Games, and I think there was another one next to this, which was a couple other names and it looked like the same type of artwork, so it could be a series, and that also made me think of Unmatched, because I'm like, are you able, like, are these the same game? Can you switch things out? Probably not, but...
We're too far into Unmatched.
We're too into Unmatched! But yeah, that just seemed interesting, just like a two-player, cooperative trick-taking. We have Fox and the Forest Duet. I'm not, like, a huge fan of that, but it is clever, kind of some of the things it does, and if this introduces some things like that, I feel like that would be a really interesting one to try out.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting pick. I didn't look too much into this one, but yeah, I just immediately thought that it'd be something like Unmatched, and I'm like, I can't be going down the rabbit hole of something new. And it's probably that darn Dutrade artwork that kept me off it. No, that looks good. That one looks good. That's a fine cover for old Dutrade.
Yeah, we'll have to do our top 10 Dutrade covers.
We will do it at some point. I almost promised that. So now we're at my number 4, which was, I guess, my 5, but kind of not really ordered overly great. But this one was one that I didn't demo at Gen Con, but had explained a little bit to me at Gen Con, just because it looked kind of interesting. This one is Kutna Hora, which is just a black box with like a silver coin. Jesse will add images on here, I think, for us.
Yes.
Maybe. He's going to have to find all of them because I doubt we have them.
If I can find these games.
But yeah, this one's from CGE, I think. And there's a bit of a market manipulation with like resources that you can, I think you can either sell them, and I think you can sell and buy them to do different things, but I think you're trading silver to do it. So I don't think you ever actually have the resources. You're just buying them at the time to be able to build things. So I think your only resource is silver, if I remember right. It's been a while since Gen Con, and obviously it was like a 5-minute pitch type thing. So it obviously didn't remember all of it, but and I didn't look into this one as much because I knew it was going to be on my list. And then I think you're building different things on, I think it's your own board, but now I'm trying to remember if it's a shared board that you might be building on and doing different locations and stuff. And yeah, just trying to, I think there's kind of a little bit of pull between when to kind of sell things and stuff, because you may, if I remember right, only some people have the access to certain production of things, so they can kind of fix the market in certain ways to try to make it so you have to pay more stuff if you want to use. I don't remember exactly, but it sounded interesting. I feel like as I've played, this is totally different, as I've played Clans of Caledonia a little bit more, I've played, used the market piece a little bit more, and that's always interesting. And this made me think of that a little bit. So I'm hoping that'll be kind of a cool thing where that's, I think, more of a main mechanism than, I mean, Clans, it's in there. It's definitely a main thing, but it feels kind of like a side thing as well.
Yeah.
In here, I think this one's going to maybe feel like the main bread and butter of the game, possibly, but obviously I have to play it. So this one was one that, I definitely came out of Gen Con excited for, wanting. And I think it's their first game that's using their, now I forget what they call it, some sort of new wood that's like remade in some way. Rewood, I think they call it.
Rewood.
So, I don't know. I thought when I was looking at it there, it didn't seem too crazy, so I think it should be a good thing.
Yeah, it's not on my list, but it is a slight crossover with this game here, because you mentioned that has silver. I have silver and gold and pyramids. Silver and gold, pyramids.
Well, I didn't even see that on that. Wow.
It's right near the top.
I missed it.
Love silver and gold. It's a Phil Walker Harding. He's classic, best filler game. It's not
Filler
an
Walker
insult.
Harding.
Filler Walker Harding. And he does great games, and Silver and Gold is a great one. You flip a card, you draw the polyomino shape onto the different islands that you've drafted, and fill out those islands with those shapes. Yes. Fill them out. You fill them. If only you're walking.
You might be.
You might. I don't know how we
those
can get his
spaces
last
that you're
name.
fillering out are walking.
It's very hard to do it too. it's such a great game, and this one looks like another game that's similar to it, not an expansion. I initially thought it was an expansion, then I looked, and it does look to actually be something different, and you'll be exploring pyramids, I assume, since it is pyramids, but it looks like you got the dry erase markers
similarly
to draw onto those cards, and the polyomino shapes that you will be doing it with as well. It looks like a scoring card there, which might be a little more complicated than silver and gold, possibly, but I think to add a little bit extra to it still won't make it unapproachable. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one. That's one of my favorite verb and write games, for sure.
Yeah, I had not even seen this one, so this could have had a chance of making my list, but it probably wouldn't have just because we do have silver and gold, but I have seen this one talked about recently, and it's probably because it got added to this, and I just didn't see it. But yeah, I was excited when I saw that because silver and gold is a really really great verb and write game. So definitely recommend, even if you don't check out this, check that one out if you are looking for a very approachable one that you could probably play with most people. Because it's pretty simple, and they can kind of watch what you're doing because it's simultaneous.
Yeah.
And get a good idea of how the game is played. So
yeah,
it's a great game. Now I'm starting to think this might be this next one here that I named might be our only other crossover, possibly, and it may not even be a crossover.
I mean,
I was kind of thinking the Kutna Hora had a chance and Jin. And since those are not, this one might be our only other chance. And this was another one. We did not get to Gen Con until late the first day. And by the time we got there, and even if we had gotten there the first day and been there, this one would have already probably been gone by the time we got in there. Because I think it sold out almost immediately. And that is World Wonders from Arcane Wonders. We did get a different game from Arcane Wonders, which is pretty good. Neotopia.
Neotopia.
So that one's one if you're there to. I recommend at least checking out and seeing. I'm guessing if they're doing what they were at Gen Con there, I'm guessing they're at least demoing it, so you can take a look at it that way as well. But World Wonders was the one that if I got to pick one or the other, that probably would have been the one I'd rather have. But it also seems like a pretty simple, approachable game. It's a polyomino game, so if you don't tend to like polyomino games that are a little more mid to lightweight seeming, probably not the game for you. If you're kind of had too many, because there are a lot.
There are a lot.
So, but yeah, this one had a bunch of nice-looking wonders that you get to put out on the board, and that's what really pulls me in.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now, and because it has pictures on my phone, yes, this was on my list. And since I had an extra game here accidentally, I'll just group in here with you. Yes, that is a crossover. I didn't know it was polyomino. I just knew you were very excited about it. And it's called World Wonders, and I'm like, it's going to be another one of those civilization type, very heavy games. I go on here, it's like under 3 weight, and it looks like polyominoes and awesome wooden components on this board. I'm like, this is not at all what I expected.
Now I see, it wasn't the heaviness that Zach was into, it was the wooden pieces.
It was the wooden pieces.
I just never know. It's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, so now, just immediately, ever since I saw that, like an hour ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited for this too.
Yeah, this is probably another one that I think will probably join the collection.
Yeah, I would think so, pretty safely.
Yeah, looks pretty good, I think. And I don't know, because I don't think they had any. I don't remember if they might have had an empty box, or I don't remember. But is the box normal size, or is it thick? It seems like from the pieces inside it doesn't really have a reason for being thicker than a ticket.
It looks like a regular Ticket to Ride size box.
Good. For some reason in my head I was thinking, did I see a box there that was thicker than normal? Because I'm like looking at the components and stuff, I'm like, there is no reason that needs to be thicker. So that would actually make me pretty mad if it was.
Yeah.
I would not get it out of spite. And then I'd end up getting it.
Like, I guess.
But yeah, that one is one I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, me too. Me too, very, very much. I'd say that's...
Yeah, and that one has tracks as well. So it has tracks that you're going up on. And I think you score your lowest one.
That's a
It's not my favorite
that's a
mechanism.
device.
Not my favorite.
It can be a divisive
Yeah, it's
mechanism
not my
for me.
favorite
Sometimes I'm like, okay, that really works. Other times,
Yeah, I'm
if
not
it's-
sure how it'll work.
if you
in
can
this one.
mitigate it, like I think having an ale, it's tracks, but you kind of mitigate them, and I like that where you can mitigate them a little bit, but sometimes as well, it's not so nice.
Right.
So we'll see.
And actually, surprisingly, Neotopia kind of has
that
that
does
same
have
thing.
that same thing. Yeah, they're the same game. You've already
They're
played
the same
this.
game. It would be funny if we get it and then we're like thinking about it and it is like the same game.
Same thing. It's
but
just
they're like just
completely
built
different
differently.
components and
Like,
board layout, and it's like
Although, to be fair, that probably is the case for a lot of some games. You can
That-
probably
yeah.
find some pretty close similarities.
yeah. Yep. Okay, what do we got? What do we want next here? I will go with get that out of there. Thank you very much. That one. So we're down to how many are we down to? 3 left?
Yes.
Or me,
for
3
you.
left for me. I will go with Emerge. This is a Pandasaurus game, and this one is there's a big long board of ocean. I guess you can scroll through some images there if you want to. Have you ever seen this one? Did you look at this one?
I didn't look at the board or anything. I know I've seen
Big long board,
talked about a little
and
bit.
you are going and exploring
Emerging.
out into those islands, and you start off with like a small island, then you add another cardboard tile under that makes it a little bigger, then a little bigger, and you are adding animals to those islands, which I think they're your islands based on your player color maybe. Then you're adding islands, and there's kind of like a food chain, so you have to add trees first or something, and then like frogs and bigger animals and bigger animals. So that already is cool, and the components look very interesting with the board that you create. But what was really intriguing, because that could be a very light game, and I think it is still a pretty light game. But the board of actions that you have, you roll a bunch of dice, and they slot into their 1 through 6 values on your board, and they correspond to different actions, like spend a die from the 1 slot to add like a frog or whatever. I don't know if frogs are even a resource there, but it's like that. Or spend 2 dice of value 2, and then that will activate the 2 to put a different type of animal there. But each round you can draft cards to cover up and change those actions in those spots, which give them possibly the core benefit of another one of those spots. So if you really want to go heavy in one type of action, you can get a thing that changes one of your actions that maybe you had saved dice from previous rounds, and now you can activate that type of action really well, and they also give you abilities to mitigate your dice as well, so you can get a 1 time per round, flip them over, and add values or whatever to your dice. And then as well, I think you can just shift those around very much at the beginning of the round and really change what you're doing with your board. And that was just really intriguing to me personally, because initially it seemed like it was going to be a very light game without that much interest there. And I was worried that something that looked so beautiful wasn't actually going to really have enough meat there, but hopefully that does add enough to it. And I watched Dice Tower Review. I think it was Joey and Chris, and they both seemed to like it. I think Chris gave it an 8, and Joey like 7.5 or something. So I'm like, oh, those are high enough scores for me to be interested.
Yeah, I think I didn't look at this one specifically, but outside of the Fox experiment, which I am actually pretty excited about, so you got a couple Pandasaurus
Yeah, a
games
couple
there.
Pandasaurus.
I feel like I haven't been as, I don't know, impressed or into a lot of the Pandasaurus games. Seems like they've, I don't know, not necessarily been the greatest. Not necessarily bad, but
we started off with Dinosaur Island.
Right. So they could just go downhill from there, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's been a tough bar to reach again. So they set the bar too high, unfortunately. But no, that looks like it could be pretty good. I am definitely interested in giving this one a try at some point. But yeah, I would say out of the two, I'm still more interested in the Fox experiment. But I'd have to actually see how this one, see a little bit more of it in action, I think. So
Yeah.
that is a fair pick.
Oh, it's on Amazon, so maybe that is pretty available right now.
I'm trying to remember if they had it there at Gen Con. I don't remember. They had some game there, and I don't remember which one it
Ooh,
was.
we could get it delivered
I'm not sure.
by October 3rd. My goodness.
Oh boy, it might have been that.
If we order it within the next 38 minutes.
There we go. But my number 2 is one that I've been pretty excited about ever
Is it gonna
since
be a
I
crossover?
actually looked at it a little bit more
I don't
or
think so.
heard
I
about
don't
it a
think
little
so.
bit more. Because initially when I just saw the name and the cover, I was like, okay, that's just a basic cover that I've seen, feels like a ton of times. And the name being Evacuation, I was like, that's not all that inspiring. And then I saw the board, and I was like, holy smoke, that is a beautiful board. This is what Terraforming Mars should look like. Why is that one so ugly? And this is so beautiful looking. Two versus Terraforming Mars has the one. This one has kind of two worlds, so to say, Earth, and then this planet that you're going to be going to. And it's Vladimir Suchi, so I've liked a good chunk of his games. You just recently played Praga Kaput Regni, and I still have to hear your thoughts on what you think of it. We're going to film that one up here shortly, first impressions on that. But I've played that a few times. I really, really like it. And then Pulsar has been a really good one of his. And Underwater Cities, I think, just haven't played it a ton. But I would say, I know a lot of people compare it to Terraforming Mars, and I highly prefer Terraforming Mars over it, but I don't know that it's that similar. But yeah, this one maybe could be. I don't think it will be.
It could be. It has a
It has
planet
the
on the
potential.
cover.
But yeah, it's sounding like a game where you've got the two planets, and you kind of have this production, and obviously you're all starting on Earth because you're going to this new planet. And obviously, as we always do in all movies and all games, we've ruined the planet.
We've ruined it.
We're all going to die. We need to get somewhere else, or we're going to go extinct. But
also, let's get victory points.
Let's get some victory points along the way, because it's the only way to do it. But yeah, so you start with all like your production on Earth, and then throughout the game, you're trying to move people and build things on the new planet, so you can start getting production there, because there's like a midpoint in the game where you're still able to produce on both, and then there's a point in the game where you're only able to produce on the new place. So if you've just been heavily investing on the Earth and you haven't been getting things produced or started going on your new planet, then towards the end of the game you could be in a lot of trouble, it sounds like. I just find that feeling to be, I don't know, it sounds pretty cool, pretty interesting. Also, it sounds like it's going to be a heavy game, which Vladimir Suchi does do a lot of heavy games, so that does worry me a little bit, but yeah, I think it could be really good. It could be one of my favorite upcoming Euros. But there's a lot of when I was looking at a lot of these though, there's a lot of my picks even are all Euro games. They seem like mid to heavyweight Euros, and the worst part is it's like, you know what, there's probably one in here, or maybe two that I'm like gonna play and I'm gonna love, but it's just which ones are those going to be?
Yeah,
because obviously I'm probably not going to buy all these games.
It's going to be a lot of them that are like, they're all right. They're all
Right.
right. They're not quite that. There's going to be some that just aren't for you, but there's bound to be a couple that are just like really what you're looking for, and it's just really hard to find. I mean, unless you do a ton of research and watch a bunch of playthroughs or something, which just are so time consuming.
That's true. And really what we should do, like a year from now, if we remember, we should go back and look at either our lists, or like we should jot down what are like some of the top thumbed games, because I would actually be interested to know, like even for last year's where they probably had a similar list that we looked at Board Game Geek, had kind of, you know, if you looked at the top 10 most like anticipated, so to say, because people were thumb up or whatever, where those games are now. Are they actually considered good, or was it just the hype train? A lot of people started liking the look of it, and then it's like, well, I want to be part of that. And
that's true. That's true.
I think that happens sometimes. So
I may be one of those people, because this one, I was on the same experience. Generic cover, whatever. Saw the board, I was like, oh my god, that looks so cool. That looks so cool. I don't know, just something about the path. But I like it, and you immediately understood what you're going to be doing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The title helped a little bit. Evacuation, but just seeing those two planets and the path between them, it's like you just immediately know what you're doing, and that seems so cool. Didn't quite make my list. One, I was sure is going to be on your list, but also it does seem like just that kind of going obsolete or whatever. You can't use the production on there, and kind of getting it all over to the new planet. That seems like that could be a puzzle that my brain is just not wired to figure out. And I'm like, I could really like it, and I have enjoyed a lot of his games. Prodigal's Club, the best one that you didn't even mention.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that is a little lighter weight, although I think it was over a 3. But I've enjoyed most of his games. They haven't been too heavy for me, and maybe this one is the one that is too heavy for me, but I am interested in this one as well.
I always forget that's him. I always think that's like the same, what is it, Italian? Is it a group of Italian designers or whatever that do like Grand Austria Hotel and stuff?
Yeah,
I always
really
think that
feels like them. Yes.
Yeah, I always think that that's what that one is, but I always forget that he does that one. Yeah, and that was actually probably my number 1, but I moved it because I knew I had gotten you looking at it and you were excited about the board, so I thought that was more likely to cross over than my other one that I have left.
Oh,
so that might be the one I might be most excited about.
Okay, and mine.
Now you're gonna ruin it by saying my other one out of nowhere, and I'll be like, this guy.
I'll go. Okay, what one could be? I don't think you'd know this one, because I'll go with this one, and I don't know how to pronounce it. We're gonna try our best, and it is Tipperary, Tipperary. Tipperary, which initially I just saw the cover. I'm like, it kind of looks like very esoteric, maybe like a Sashi and Sashi type Studio Ghibli, just something, a Z Garcia or Mike DeLisio game that no one else has played.
No one's heard of. When they hear that someone's heard of it, they're like, actually, I don't like that game.
Exactly. But it just has someone sitting on a park bench with their dog. I'm like, oh, that's a peaceful little artwork there. And I actually looked at the gameplay, and it reminded me a little bit of kind of King Domino and even Planet Unknown, because there's a little spinner wheel in the middle, which you kind of, in the different sections, you put 2 tiles and you spin it, and each of the arrows corresponds to a player. And wherever yours is pointing, you choose one of the 2 tiles to then add to your board that you are building out. And based on the few different colors, they all do a few different things. You're trying to create flocks of sheep, and overall, kind of like patchwork, you're trying to get a big rectangular, completely filled in area, and you can get little patches or little towers that you can fill in empty spots at the end of the game. Just a lot of familiar mechanisms to a lot of tile placement games that we have. It just seemed like it could maybe blend a few unique things together for me, while being really approachable, not doing anything too crazy out there, but still good. Which, it surprised me.
That looks interesting.
It didn't, initially I was like, oh, what is this going to be? Oh, tile placement. And then I'm like, oh, that makes me think of Polyomino. Makes me think of Planet Unknown, and it just seemed just unique enough for me.
Yeah, that does look good. I didn't even see that one.
Plus, I had heard nothing about it, so that also really made me want to talk about it.
Yeah, because I have not heard anything about that one. I might have seen the cover and just went by it. Because that artwork probably doesn't catch me as much, but now that you're letting me look at it,
barrels there, so it's pretty much
good.
Glenmore too as well.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
nice pick. Is that one was up to 4 players, or is that 2 player?
I believe that is up to 4. Up to 5 players.
Okay. Nice pick. But then we get to our number 1s already. Everyone else is saying, already, this has been an hour long, probably. However long it is. But this is one. It's not probably too much of a surprise if you saw this one to you. This is based off of one of my favorite games of all time, or set in kind of a similar world, and, well, I think it is the same world, which is our world. This is Pirates of Maracaibo.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we had a video talking a little bit about this and kind of the other games that, now I'm blanking on it. Who was it? CP? No,
Capstone? No.
I don't think it was.
What is it? Yeah, what are they? DLP.
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 Yes. They were releasing that, and Cathedral of Orleans,
yeah.
and some other stuff as well. You can check those out. I think they're almost all available here, if I remember right. But yeah, I really love Maracaibo, and this one's coming from Alexander Pfister, and I think he's working with someone else as well. Sounds like it's going to have a lot of similar mechanisms, which I'm definitely fine with. But I think it sounds like there's going to be more of like a board being built instead of kind of already having the pre-done board. So I'm interested to see how that will change the game. I think this will be one that I'm going to definitely be more waiting on some reviews and see if it's different enough, if the different things feel like they're better before getting it, just because we already have Maracaibo and I really love that. So I'm just hopeful that this will hopefully seem like it feels like enough to warrant having possibly both in the collection, or see if it kind of just if people are saying it feels very much the same.
Don't fool yourself. You're not fooling anyone. You are going to get this game. You're going to get this game, and you know it. He's like, look, there's different player colors in this one.
Look at this.
I
am excited about it.
I'm sure it'll be added, and I think it'll be different enough. He's a respected enough designer that I don't think he would just release a cash grab like that. But we'll see.
You never know.
Maybe. We'll see. My number one, which I have saved it for number one just because it is my favorite cover of these, I believe. I just was immediately like, oh, please be something slightly interesting on gameplay because I love this cover so much. And that is Portals. Do you like that cover at all?
It's fine.
Wow. I really like it. Just kind of the purple and the orange, which is a very classic color scheme. And kind of a portal into a castle in the background there with a character in the foreground.
It looks very Disney-esque.
It does have a little bit of a Disney vibe. But yeah, it's got a 2.5 weight, and I feel like that's a sweet spot where it has, or at least looking
right
at
in the middle is
looking at
5.
the number, yes, exactly in the middle. Something that's not like too heavy, but still looks like it's going to have something to dig into. Yeah. And this one, so just based on that, I was like, okay, please have something good. And then I saw that there were some components. It says prototype, but they look like plastic components that you'll be gaining throughout the game and putting onto, let's see if we can find even a good image, and putting onto different cards, which I don't feel like there's not really artwork in the game. You get different cards with colored squares on them that I assume you're trying to fill in with the different plastic bits, which not the artwork that I would have wanted from the cover, but at least I do still have the cover, and I can look at that while I'm playing the game and enjoy these components for different reasons, because they're cool, chunky plastic pieces, if those are in the regular edition. I obviously don't know. I don't know much about this one, but it's just a really nice looking game, and that's all it takes for me, because I'm a shallow gamer.
So you just see her placing them out on there, and you assume that that's more interesting than the blue goes on the blue.
I assume the blue goes on the blue.
No, it looks interesting. I do like the components there. Ooh, it's a puzzle.
Hidden victory points.
Open drafting. Okay, set collection. Okay, I'm liking those things. Okay, you pulling me in a little bit.
Easy to learn, hard to master. Start playing quickly.
God,
Get
chess.
better with every game.
It's chess.
Close interaction. Share everything with other players, so you'll inevitably mess someone's plans up. There's no one-size-fits-all winning strategy.
You have to share everything with them. Like, if you don't change that, I am going to do that next move. Okay, well, I'm going to do it then. You got to share it with me.
But yeah, that's hopefully it's a good one. I haven't heard anything about it.
I have not heard anything about this.
Hopefully I can see a review sometime. And a solo mode, great and crunchy puzzle to enjoy alone.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't look too much at that one. It's not. I guess that's not my favorite cover, but it's a good cover. Hopefully that one will be a good one. And yeah, it looks a little bit different than some of the other ones for sure.
Yeah.
It seems like I definitely had some of the heavier games, and you
Yeah,
had some of the lighter ones. It seems like anyway.
So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of those heavier games, and not knowing which ones will stand out. So I didn't even attempt to put any on my list. It seems.
Yes.
But I believe we had two crossover.
We did have
there,
two.
so
Not
as
very
much.
many. I thought maybe I thought you'd maybe have one or two of those.
I was
heavier
thinking Fox. I was like, World Wonders is going to be on there. I thought the Flight one might be, and that one was. I thought maybe Fox Experiment would be on
That
there,
one could
as
have been,
well
but-
as Jekyll and Hyde. That one
yeah.
I thought.
I didn't look at that one.
I thought
so
that could be on
it
there,
have been.
and Age of Rome. I thought could
Yeah,
be
I don't
more
know.
of your type of game.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw that one.
Yep.
So, yeah. I guess if we want to name some other ones that we were kind of looking at, or what I wrote down anyway here, I had, if I can read my own writing, I believe it's Planta Nubo, which is a polyomino game from Uwe Rosenberg.
Oh, yeah.
I was tempted to put that one on there, but I had already had World Wonders on there, and they both were polyomino ones. But yeah, it sounded like I looked into like a few comments on it or something, or maybe a very brief review, and it sounded like it was a weight between kind of Patchwork and Feast for Odin, but it was a little closer to Feast for Odin. So I was like, I could like that. I could maybe like a polyomino game from him that's there. But I had that, and then I had Barcelona, which just looks like it's got tile placement, worker placement, had a lot of scoring opportunities. That was one that I almost bought at Gen Con. I could have gotten it if I wanted to. I just did not end up pulling the trigger because, like I said, there's so many of these kind of medium to heavyweight Euros that I just don't know which ones are going to be the ones that stand out. So did not end up getting that one. And then I had Arborea, which has kind of a time track worker placement. We looked at this one, I think, on one of our crowdfunding maybes.
So, yeah.
And that one I've been kind of interested in that one ever since I saw that. I think that one will be available. It looks like, but I couldn't tell 100%. And then what else did I have here? Shipyard, which is also from the man, the myth, the legend, Vladimir Suchi. I think that's a reprint of one that he had previously put out. And what else did I have? Anything else here? Oh yeah, and I had Anum Naka, or whatever, the game from... No, I was going to say Capstone, but I don't believe it is Capstone. But I believe Capstone is printing it for them, but that's going to be in February. For whoever's... I don't remember what it is. But that was another one that...
I don't have any of those written down here in my honorable mentions.
I figured not.
I had Mlem, or whatever it is, like the Cats in Space game from Reiner Knizia. It was, I don't know, there was Push Your Luck. I saw Push Your Luck as a mechanism.
Yeah, you saw
Cats in Space.
Reiner
Knizia looked like a bit of a race. And all the cats should have been having bow ties on, honestly. It's off the short list now. But I don't know, Push Your Luck, that had me interested. Reiner Knizia, he's gotten a few more of his games lately that I've really enjoyed, so there's one there. I had Synergy, which looked like I couldn't get a full idea of what it was, but from the picture it looked like it had cards laid out, and I think they were numbers, and then in between them it's kind of like maybe an equals, or this one's higher than the other one by 2, and I think everyone's kind of playing them in line, similar to the Mind, where you're trying to get these to make sense. That could be way off, but from the slight bit and the picture that I saw and how it was laid out, maybe they just laid the components out in that way for fun.
Could be.
I was like, if that is the game, that sounds pretty interesting for those types of games. Otherwise, we had Explorers of the Woodlands, which I think you're woodland creatures going around exploring and fighting baddies.
Explorer of the woodland. I think you are woodland creatures
exploring the woodlands. But yeah, that one, I didn't look too much into that either, and I just thought, it's decent artwork. Kind of makes me think of Root, obviously, with the theme. And
you just love Root.
Yes, I love Root.
I can see why it didn't actually make your list, sir.
Yes, I was like, Root. Get that off there. And then another one was Amritsan, or however you say it, the Golden Temple, which is a very colorful cover there. And then It was a weight of 3.6, so that seemed a bit much, but I was looking at the board, and it looked very busy, and you had little elephants that can carry around tokens, and I thought that that was pretty cool, and very vibrant and colorful, but just the weight of it. And just the board looked like a lot of stuff, but I mean, the T games kind of made me think of Teotihuacan, just kind of with the board there. Not that it plays anything like that, but I'm like, it's got interest for me. But
yeah, all good games. I'm surprised how few we had that crossed over, even in that Lowe's list.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that we decided to do top 12 when we were naming extra honorable mentions anyway. We decided to still do 12.
Yes. But yeah, so those are some games that we'd be excited to get if we were going there, and some that we may end up getting at some point in time. But yeah, let us know in the comments below if you're going, like I said, and let us know if any of those excite you, if there were any you hadn't heard of and are like, I'm going to look into that a little bit more. Or if you do know more information on some of those that we didn't seem to know a bunch about, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to learn more about them to kind of see if they do sound like they're our style. More information, the better. But otherwise, we hope to see you on our next video. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.